Welcome back to another episode of the Cyber Queens. We are your hosts, Meryl, Erica, and Natalie. I'm Meryl, resident offensive and hacking expert.
I'm Erica Eakins, technical salesperson in the cyber field.
And I'm Natalie Baker, blue team extraordinaire.
Today, we are talking about a topic that is near and dear to everybody's hearts, and everybody has been looking for it, and everybody's been like, when is this episode dropping? And here it is. We are finally going to talk about personal branding and the importance that it plays in driving your cybersecurity career, especially speaking as someone who came into this industry with no certifications, no technical know-how, and no background. How was I able to propel myself so far so quickly? It is personal branding. So I'm going to try not to dominate this episode. I'm going to tell my queens they can smack me if I just start dominating too much. Anyway, I want to hear from them first. It is what I stand for. Personal branding to you guys, what does it mean and why is it important?
Well, before you even brought this episode up, Meryl, I had literally had zero clue what personal branding actually was. I thought that was just the reputation that you built for yourself. And it is, but it's more so of what are people saying when you're not around, and really understanding that was a game changer for me. What are people actually going to say when I'm not in the room? Are people even talking about me when I'm not in the room? And that in itself is personal branding. I mean, it can be mistaken a lot of times for reputation, but your reputation is more so your work ethic related versus personal branding is what you want people to remember about you.
So for me, being in sales, personal branding is, in the beginning of my career, I thought it was what company I was attached to, what I did for them, what I sold, and things like that. But as I got further into my career, it really was like Natalie said, what do they say about you when you're not in the room? I have a lot to say on this topic as well. So you guys feel free to smack me. But, for me being a female in the cyber field, I came in the industry in 2011. Honestly, at that time, when I lived in Chicago, there wasn't a lot of female reps in the cyber field, and they basically think that you sleep your way to the top or sleep with somebody to get in. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, but that is also a brand. If you want to be that girl that, gets in with her legs, that's on you, but that's not what it should be about.
So, and honestly, I really thought Meryl was the celebrity for the longest time. I didn't even know she was a regular person. I thought she was some celebrity. And it's just because she has such strong personal branding. But for the longest time, I was like, look at that girl. She's so awesome. Oh my God, I wish I could be her.
The thing though, you can, anybody can do it. Well, you tell me I've done a great job making my brand approachable. Way to suck, Meryl Renee. No, but brands are so hard to quantify. People are like, what is it? Why do I need one? How do you even use it if you have one? And you hear branding thrown around like, oh, that's part of my brand, or no, that's not in my brand. And well, the brand is, or yeah, that's a brand, that's a vibe. But it's so how do you even understand what a brand is? And it's exactly what they've said. Your personal brand is basically what people know of you and what they associate with being what you stand for. So my brand is obviously I'm someone who loves fashion and I love being fashion forward and I love doing super jazzy looks and stuff. But my brand isn't just to look good all the time. My brand is that's part of who I am, but also this is part of who I am. InfoSec t-shirts and athletic shorts is generally how you'll see me. And that doesn't seem like your brand. I'm like, it is. My brand is just authentic. It is come as you are. It is not to push yourself to be one or the other. I've chosen to embrace certain aspects and expand my brand. But, you can't just lock someone into a brand automatically. But brands are powerful. And if you don't think they are, Natalie literally came to me and thought I would be a great addition to this podcast as a concept because of what she knew about me from what I put out online. She didn't know me personally. She'd never spoken to me, but she was like, based on what you put forth and based on what I know about you and what others know about you and say about you, I think I would enjoy working with you. And that's what it is. It's a tool. It's the additive used to be, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Now it's not even that. It's what do other people know about you?
I want to add to that. You could have a personal brand and a professional brand that are two separate things.
Yep. Erica's got a professional brand of being a pretty big baddie, up in a man's world. We all do. But like my personal brand is that I'm very caring and very loyal and very empathetic and very like build you up, and I'll be your hype girl. And like most people wouldn't associate us with being in the two same bodies, but it's like I choose to segregate my brands. I don't do the bodybuilding stuff on LinkedIn. And like people who know me from the competitive world don't know anything about what I do professionally or my professional brand. So can you have multiple brands to answer that question? Yes, you can have multiple brands. Can you segregate them and choose how you market them on different platforms? Yes, absolutely. But I need you all to understand something right now. The fact that you choose not to believe in a brand or not to acknowledge your brand or not to water your brand doesn't mean you don't have one. Everybody's got one. And if you're not out there telling people what it is, they're going to decide what it is for you. And that is a very dangerous place to be. You've just given away 80% of your personal PR power.
Yes. Well, so for salespeople, this is super important, and it's important on the technical side as well. But like I said earlier, you don't want them to think that you're sleeping your way into customer accounts. You don't want to get that reputation. I've built a brand for myself that hiring managers come to me to find me to hire me, even when I'm not looking. And that, a lot of people can do that. But I've also built a brand with my customers. They know that I have their back anytime. They know that I work for them and I go to bat for them. The company I work for, I do follow the rules. I'm very ethical. I don't lie. There's a lot of salespeople that lie. I tell the truth, even if it's going to lose me money. So that makes customers follow me. That makes hiring managers come and get me. But I also put a brand out there that marketing people love me because I can get in there into my territory, do what I got to do, and build it. Like I'm known for being what they call a builder. I'm not a farmer in the sales field, but my personal brand, people think I'm a personal trainer because I don't compete anymore, but I'm a bodybuilder. I post everything about fitness on my personal pages. My social medias that are personal have different names because I don't want to associate my LinkedIn and professional life. So when people think that I just sit around and work out all day, but they actually see me doing all these fun things, because sometimes I will post on my personal page. So like, oh my gosh, I thought you were just a personal trainer. And I'm like, that is actually a career. So shame on you for saying that. Love y'all, personal trainers, but I don't associate the two. But you don't have to do that. You could do both. You could mesh them together.
But because of the brand you've built, I know that what I would say about you is we should go buy that thing from Erica. Well, why? Is her company particularly great? Don't know crap about her company. What I do know, though, is that Erica is not going to BS us. She's not going to upsell us, and she's not going to tell us we need something that we don't. And if she doesn't think she's the best solution, she's going to probably go tell us where we can find it. And anyone that Erica recommends to me, I would work with that person because they come from you. That's a brand. That is reinforcing.
But I also want to add, sometimes the brand you choose, it will look like it's hurting you. Like I have a reputation of being very ethical, and I tell customers like, this is not the right solution for you. It gets me in trouble with my employer because they're like, why are you pushing a deal away? But it can hurt me. Like financially, I won't close a deal. If I tell a customer this is not for you, I'm not, and it's really not, I'm not going to sell it to them because then they're going to have buyer's remorse. That does exist in the professional world. So
Yes,
when people
does.
know they work with me, they know what they're getting.
Yeah, and your personal brand doesn't have to be static. Like it can evolve over time. Like my personal brand, like 2 years ago, was nothing in comparison to what I realized you actually had to put into a brand, because it's a lot of work to put into a brand, but you can evolve it over time. Meryl, I know you said like you were completely against like being associated with being a woman in cyber for a long time, and then now look at us. Like,
yeah,
sorry.
No, it's like what Erica said. I didn't want to lean into that feminine aspect on podcasts and stuff. People would be like, what's your opinion as a female in cyber on blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, why is it a female's opinion and not just a qualified cyber professional's opinion? I didn't want to lean into that at all because I had to come in and start fighting my way. And, Natalie and I come from a military background. We're used to playing in a man's world. That's fine.
Yep.
I completely leaned into the match you on your expertise level to gain their respect. So like actually my first brand ever, working at my first insurance company, a lot of the developers came in to visit HQ and they're like, oh man, we can't wait to talk to that new guy in the security department. Yeah, Meryl. Yeah, he's awesome. Oh, he's killing it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Meryl. They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's me.
That's me.
They're like, but you're a girl. I'm like, yeah, I'm Meryl. So based purely on my work and how I communicate via email and like our interactions, they thought I was a guy. They thought I was one of them. And I liked that. That honestly told me I was doing it correctly. I have now, I will say, learned a very delicate balance on how to lean into my femininity and, be the person walking around DEF CON in a hot pink suit and be all the things that I am and that I want to be and not be intimidated by it or make it feel like it waters down my expertise at all. But I did build that first brand first. You're absolutely right. But it's okay to let brands go and evolve them into something new. And a lot of people are so afraid, like, this has been so successful. It's worked for me so good for 3 years. I'm like, it won't though for much longer. Brands need to evolve or they will die. Look at Nike. Nike used to stand for one thing, and now they've grown into this, like, when you think of Nike, you think of giving back to the community, helping kids in underprivileged neighborhoods like get the sports gear they need to go to finals and stuff. Like, that as a brand, you're not just buying really high quality like athleisure wear or athletic wear. You're buying a brand that gives back and helps build the world up and make it a bit better, and that makes you feel good as a consumer. So them or someone else, that might be the determining factor. That's a brand. That's branding.
Yeah, when I first started, I refused to let people know that I was a veteran because I didn't ever want to be hired for just being a veteran, because that will get you a job a lot of places. But like, that's never why I wanted to be hired. I wanted to be hired because I was smart and that I
could diversity hire.
Yeah, like I did not want to be that. So I it's so funny because like on my LinkedIn, unless you really dig in and really look at my resume or really look at my past jobs, like you're not going to realize that I'm even a veteran. It's not out there. But a lot of my stories do come from the time when I was in the military, because I learned so much in that like year of learning down at Fort Hood that, like, I mean, it's natural. And usually when people find out, they're like, oh my God, you were a veteran. And I'm like, yeah, I was.
It's like with me, people go, oh my God, you're a Californian. I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, I almost liked you. I'm like, why? That's not part of anything of who I am.
Yeah.
I don't lean into that brand at all.
Well, I get sourced a lot. And these managers are crazy for telling me this, that, oh, we're looking for a woman to add to the team. They're saying they're looking for a diversity hire, but putting it in different words. You are not supposed to say stuff like that because that's discriminatory. But it honestly just, these companies are trying to figure their way out through all this D&I, but nobody cared about it before. They kind of did a little bit, but then like COVID and everything happened, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden we care about diversity. You don't want that brand where you just say, okay, yeah, I mean, maybe you do, but yeah, I'll take the job just because I'm a woman, then not be respected. I've had that. I've fought my way through this career since 2011, and it took me a long time to get to the brand that I made for myself. I will be darned if somebody is going to take that away from me just for hiring me because I am a female. No, thank you.
You know what I will say though? Being a female, being a veteran, being a female veteran, that is an unfair advantage that we have. And I will say, I will encourage someone to lean into that. Yeah, no, but I will say, do you need to get a leg in the door? Are you being met with opposition? You might hate the environment, hate the team, hate the leadership. Use it as a stepping stone, use it as a means to an end, learn everything you can and further your own career. And the next time you won't need to lean on that. But that is sort of an unfair advantage that we have. We do fill a demographic box. So you know what? It might feel horrible on the inside at first, but I say lean into all the advantages that you have because no one else is going to give you any. And I mean, if you want to fight the uphill battle like we did, then do it. That's a very millennial thing to do. But I'm going to tell you, bringing it back to Gen Z, we all were willing to do that as millennials. We were going to put the grit and the time in the trenches so that you respect us on the other side. Gen Z is not. They're just going to automatically see that you don't have diversity going on, and they're going to be turned off as a result. And then you're going to have a really big talent pool problem. So
I'm not saying don't use your gender or even your orientation or your pronouns, but you don't want to get that reputation, because reputation does tie into brand, that, oh, you just expect to be hired because, you're XYZ. And it's fine to use it. Like, I'm sure that's what got me my very first sales job in cyber when I came with no experience. So fine. Okay. I probably did use the female card. They didn't say anything, but whatever. But I wouldn't get that as a part of your brand. Like, I expect to be hired because I'm XYZ. So
no. Making it your brand and making it a strategy are very different. I leaned into it. I was like, hi, female on scene, and they were the ones who called me the boppy millennial chick in security. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. But I'm just not going to play into that at all. I'm just going to still be better than you, so that people will be like, it doesn't matter that she's a chick. It doesn't matter that she's a millennial. It just matters that she's over there doing her job and you're over here not doing your job. So even if you use it as your leg in with HR, make sure you can still back it up with all the skills and the reinforcing markers that you need on the job in your brand, or you'll be the diversity hire forever. But speaking of evolving brands, someone else who's really good at evolving their brand, especially in cyber, was Alissa Knight. She was a foremost hacker. She's someone who's put out a lot of content, given a lot back to the community. And she has recently decided that she's moving away from that brand and going into the film production brand, which is great. Everyone's like, you're an idiot. Why would you give up your brand? You've got such a following. And it's like, because she's peaked. She's done all the things she's wanted to do. She accomplished all the things that she wanted. And it's okay to leave that behind and start something new. I myself, old brand, breaking into cybersecurity, fast, cheaper, free. Because I was a single parent who had no budget, no time, like didn't have 10 years to start learning and to try and accelerate myself. I wanted to get there and I wanted to get there now. So I was telling people how I did it faster, better. Don't need to be an expert in Python. Don't need all this stuff. Just go get a Sec Plus and propel yourself and do the things. Now my brand and my platform is shifting more to that manager, VP level of audience, and my message is changing, and I'm not advising people so much on how to break in anymore. Like I said, I did it 3 years ago. My knowledge is deprecated. There are folks doing it better than me. What I am talking about now is driving your own career and propelling yourself to those next levels, as I have done. And the tools you can use, one of them is personal branding, and it comes full circle. So
Yep.
let your brand evolve. We'll all be here. We'll all be happy you did it. I promise.
And I remember when we were building the Cyber Queens brand specifically, like Meryl, the first question you asked is what's going to make us different? Like what sets us apart from everybody else? And that's such an important question. Like, what do I want people to know about me that's going to set me apart from everybody else? That's personal branding. Like that's probably like one of the most beneficial questions I think you've ever asked me ever, was what is going to make us so different? And then we started talking personal brand and I was like, what makes me different?
Yeah, it translates. And then I also asked you, what are your core values? I said, what do you stand for? Like, because you need to exude those in your delivery of everything you do, or you're not being true to your own brand. Like you could have a brand, you're not even being true to it. So yeah, we came in and we did a lot of that visual branding and that rhetorical branding work. We deep dove into our audience and the questions and the values they have and how we can speak to those. And yeah, we did. We branded the goodness out of it.
Bless your heart.
That helped on the personal branding side, at least for me, because I didn't even know where to start. Like, where do I start out with a personal brand? And then you're like, you came in, you're like, well, what do you want to do that's going to make you different from every other person out or every other podcast out there? And I was like, well, what makes me different from every other cybersecurity professional out there? And I kind of used that to help me build my own personal brand more.
Yes. Well, and you can evolve your brand. Like once you figure out, like you get into cyber and you're a SOC analyst and you love that, you can identify and start building your brand based off of where you want to go in your career. That's what I'm doing. I'm a salesperson, and I'm technical, but I still have a path to be a CRO, which is a chief revenue officer. So I want all of sales and marketing to run up to me. Well, unless I have a CMO, the marketing will go up to marketing, but I want to, be responsible for growing the company, bringing in that profit, that revenue. And that's something that I am on path to do. So I've had to actually shift my brand professionally a little bit, because now that I've achieved, being what they call an enterprise account manager, which is large accounts, the next step for me is, frontline management, senior, and then CRO. Is it going to be with a company or am I going to do it myself? I don't know yet, but it's helping me revamp my brand and growing my brand, because now I have to think bigger.
Yeah. And I will say you never abandoned your brands. Like you never left sales. You were sales, like you were driving the sales path, but then you cupped in a little bit of technical. And now that you're a technical sales go-to, now you're cupping a little bit of leadership. And now that you're a technical sales leader, like rather than just being a sales leader or a marketing leader, like you're all these things combined now because you brought those into your brand and made it the platform that you stand on.
The other thing that I realized, a lot of the CROs that I see in the industry, and it's not all of them, but a lot of them are not technical. They just are, like sales and marketing, and that's fine if you're a CRO, but you got to understand cyber. I remember working for a company and they brought on a VP he was from the other side of information technology, which is like data servers, all that data center crap that I don't like. And then he comes to run an entire region, the VP of the West for a cyber company, and he knew nothing. Was he a good VP? Yes, but he was not, he had no clue what we were really doing. And that's not
Exactly.
to say that's bad, but I don't want to be in that position.
You're going to have a brand when you walk into the meeting room. They're going to be like, thank God the technical leader is here. She understands us. She's going to hear what we're saying and know how to help us improve upon it. Thank God. Yeah, agree. So places to start. We are coming up on like being 2/3 done with this episode already because we could talk about branding all day.
Yep.
Tips to build a personal brand. I've got a lot of content out there about this already. You can definitely search for it on LinkedIn or Twitter, or I have various blogs out there on Medium as well, because I'm trying to make it in one place where people can go find it when I reference it months from now. But definitely some tips to get started. And I would love to know your ladies' thoughts as well. For me, it's to have a goal, because without a goal, you don't know, like, your goal is your message. And if you don't know what your message is, you don't know who would consume your message. Or start with who do you want to get to, and what is a message they care about? Like, if the demographic means more to you than the message and you just want to speak to and inspire someone specifically, you'll find something that they want to hear. And that can drive to figure out how they want to consume it. And then once you know that, you know how to brand your message so that your ideal audience will lean into it more.
I personally had to figure out what I liked to do with my career first, because I came into cyber when I was almost 30. I was in my late 20s, which wasn't old, but I still didn't know what I loved. Once I identified what I loved, then I was able to build my brand. So and then I set goals, short term, long term, and, tweak things as I go. So for me, my advice is find what you really love to do, or something that's part of what you love to do, and then build your brand. And that might sound like something obvious, but you could be in a job that you hate and wanting to do something else because you're not building that structure.
Yeah, I personally also would agree. Like, every time that I've kind of shifted positions, I've had to rebuild a brand, and I didn't even realize I was building a brand until recently. And it's really funny because I've gotten into some interviews and they're like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, good question. I don't know what I want to do next. Like, always have that next step ready. Always have that next step ready of what you'd like to do. All I could say was, like, I want to learn more. That's all I really knew, the difference between what I was doing and what I wanted to do. And so you're like, good question. Here's what I'd like to do. I want to learn more. I want to be able to be proficient in a new technology, that kind of ordeal. And that really helped me kind of do some soul searching, because a lot of it came from doing the soul searching, knowing what my next goal is, what my next step could be, and then deriving my brand from that.
Yeah. And that's so great, because like I have the same problem. I identify with that a lot, Natalie. When I got into college, I enrolled in a bunch of courses that just looked fun. And my dad was like, how much of this helps you accomplish a major? I was like, I don't know, probably none of it. I don't know what my major is. He's like, then we need to start over. Like, I want to work on everything. I want to learn it all. Like, I want to do GRC and privacy and offensive. Like, I want to do NCTI, like all these things. And everyone's like, you need to pick one though and get good at that first. I'm like, good advice. That's sage. I should probably do that. So I also want to do the things, but because of that, I had to backwards plan. I had to, again, where do I want to be and what is the best way to get there? Or how did someone else get there and how can I improve upon that and do it faster or with less effort or with less money? So yeah, your goals. Sorry, I spoke to like branding a product or branding a message, but branding yourself can come from your own personal goal. If my goal was to get into cybersecurity at one point and to make people believe that I was capable professional with no know-how, I did. I just started saying, this is what I'm learning today, and this is how it's going. This is where I failed. This is where I messed up. This was a meeting I had today. And everyone's like, I identify with that. I've been that person in that meeting. I get that. I've been through that struggle. And suddenly, as you get better, you become someone people recognize for knowing a certain thing a lot better. Additionally, how these two ladies met, comments of a LinkedIn post.
Yep.
You need to be networking in comments. Like, if you love someone's content, yes, if you love someone's content, be in all the comments. Don't just leave your own, like, yeah, that's so great. Loved that message. Look for something someone said in response and have a little discussion, have a debate. And then they'll be like, I had one person say, wow, you and I are in the same comments of like all the same posts. Maybe we should be cyber besties. I was like, maybe we should. And now this person is a CEO of his own company and he's one of my best cyber friends. So your genuine connections will come from that. And then he's over here sitting here saying, oh, we need a keynote speaker for the SANS Cloud Summit. I'm thinking of Meryl. Those opportunities are coming to you when you're not even there to advocate for yourself. This is how personal branding works. But don't fall for a pitfall. Don't just network above you. Like, oh, I want to be a VP, so I'm just going to talk to VPs. Network laterally. Network with other people at your level who are learning what you're learning and doing what you're doing. And as someone goes to them, they'll say, oh yeah, I do it with this person and we do it with this person and we all do it together, and you'll get brought along. You'll be another resource people can go to. Like, I just can't describe enough how valuable it is.
And it makes you more authentic that way too, because then you're not just tagging along, you're being brought along by people.
Value added discussion.
Exactly. Oh, so-and-so knows this, this, and this. Let's bring her in, or let's bring him into the conversation because they could be really helpful in the situation. Like, it's not just you being like, oh, here I am. Let's also talk together now. Like, just being the tag along. Like, you're not the third party anymore. You're not the third wheel.
You're like, oh yeah, what they said. I agree. You have your own stance.
You can't be afraid to reach out to people. Like, if you're a security engineer, you're early in and you see some CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, that inspires you, and you're wondering if you should reach out because they're not going to care about you. Do it. Do it on LinkedIn. Send them an email, because you're not face to face. So you get that fear factor out of your way. I network every day, and I do it like stuff that doesn't even have to do with cyber, just because I will always have somebody that knows me here and there and what they're saying about me, because most people work. And if those people have a job, they have a boss, they have an IT department, they have a cybersecurity team. So no matter what I do, I'm involved with everything. As a salesperson, it's easy for me. I could just reach out to somebody and I'm not scared. I'll walk up to somebody at a conference and not be scared. But if it's something that you have social anxiety or you're just not ready,
or imposter syndrome,
email. Or just, use the technical things available to you, email, texting, whatever, and introduce yourself. You'll be surprised.
And you can come to us. Any one of us are happy to hug you. You can say, Meryl, I see that you're connected to, Amber or Erica is. Will you give me an intro? I think we could collab. And we're like, absolutely. We're here for you.
Yep. That's how we all.
I would also say the important part of it is building a relationship with the person that you're reaching out to. Like, you don't want to just be like, well, how are you going to help me? Because if you're just like, how you're going to help me, they're also like, what's my return on investment as well? Like, what's my personal gain from this? And if you reach out and you actually build a relationship and you're like, would you mind getting a coffee or something, a virtual coffee, or doing virtual drinks at some point? That's going to lean a lot better for you, because now you're just starting a natural conversation. And then you're like, I would love to learn from you. I'd love for you to be my mentor, or for you to help me, navigate what I'm navigating right now. And that is going to just stay authentic to that, to being who you are. But really lean into building the relationships rather than just like, selling yourself to a CEO or a CIO or a CISO.
And that goes for job referrals too. Do not just cold message me and say, hi, please refer me for this job. If I know nothing about you and nothing about your job performance and what you stand for, if I don't know your brand is null, does not exist, I'm not going to refer you for anything, because I'm staking my brand on having referred you. So I only refer people who've taken the time to start a genuine conversation with me, and I can actually speak to the type of employee or like expert that they are.
And if you need help with this, reach out to any of us, but I will help you, because I do this all day when I'm trying to break into accounts. I never message somebody through LinkedIn or whatever and say, hey, I'm Erica with blah, blah, blah. I work my way into it like we have been talking about. I can help you break some of those ice, because you don't want to go, straight in, because they're not going to respond to you. So I could help you with some tips and tricks. I can't guarantee any services. I'm not a service provider with resumes, but I will help you try to start a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, the slimy way Erica could do her job is, hi, Meryl, are you in the cloud? Most companies are. Have you taken a look at how we can help you be in the cloud? And I'm like, ew, I would literally never engage with that ever. But Erica instead is just like, hey, like, we're all here. I'm here for advice. I'm here. And then later when you're like, hey, do we need one of these? She's like, I don't know. I can take a look. I can see if you need one of these things. But it's relationships. It's 80% relationships, you guys, and 20% actual business. Like, when I close a collab, we literally spend most of the time hanging out and just getting to know each other and just like vibing on certain topics. And at the end, I'm like, so do you want to do a blog together? Like, absolutely. I'm like, cool, email you. Done. That's the only business that happened. Most of it's not business based. So, okay,
Build a rapport.
we're coming up to time. We do have to do final takeaways. I'm so sorry. We all want this episode to go on forever. So we'll do you two ladies first. Final takeaways for the audience, whether you be in cyber or not, on personal branding.
All right, for me, it's being authentic and knowing what you want to portray. That's really the biggest thing you can do, and how you're going to tie that in. Personally, I like to tie a little bit of personal into my business brand because it just makes me more authentic, and I think that doing that helps you further along your brand and your message.
That's great. My final takeaway is if you start building a brand, you get lost, you don't know what to do, take a step back, rethink about it. And if you start it and then you decide to change it as you're doing it, that's okay too. Failure actually does equal success. There's failure that doesn't, but you are only going to be successful if you've tried and, failed at some point. Some of the richest people in the world, Elon Musk, he's failed 100 million times, I'm sure. So just think about what you want, know what you want and how to get there, and utilize your network. Don't be afraid to talk to people, but at the same time, don't go and say, hey, we need to connect. You're a CISO. I want to be a CISO. Help me out, because you're just going to be deleted and blocked.
Yeah. Another big one for me is authenticity. Like Natalie said, cannot emphasize enough, you need to be authentic. If you stutter, if you hate being on camera, if you're nervous, if you have children, you need to embrace all of that. I guarantee you there is a niche that identifies and will consume your message because you're being honest about it. Don't be someone you're not. It will show right away. My genuine takeaway is going to be to the easiest way to grow your brand and your audience is to take someone else's audience and make it your audience. The more of a genuine relationship we have and the more we interact online and people see our InfoSec bestie ship growing, it'll say Meryl commented on this, Meryl likes this, Meryl shared this post on your behalf. And now my entire 20,000 follower audience is seeing your message and you didn't even have to work for them. So this is one of the most effective ways that brands and businesses and people build these things and scale them. And my other piece of advice is going to be, if you're lost, if you're nervous, if it's not working and you don't know why, if you don't know where to go next, get a brand coach. I have a brand coach. You don't think I have a brand coach? We, the Cyber Queens, also have a growth and mentorship coach. Someone helping us figure this out and navigate it for the first time. So there's no need to struggle alone. There are plenty of people who will break down the gates, share all their secrets, tell you exactly how they did it. We're 3 of them. So don't struggle on your own and don't waste tons of years doing trial and error. Just go find someone and talk to that person, build a relationship with them and ask them how they did it, and they'll help you.
I do want to add one thing to that before we wrap up. Don't fall for the I'll buy your followers, I'll grow your Instagram. They're not, some of them are, legit, but it's a brand coach. Do not pay for followers or somebody that's messaging you, telling you that they're going to grow it. I keep getting tons of messages from people that want to grow the Cyber Queens because I put co-founder in my title, and they're like, get more sales, get this. And I'm like, I don't even know these people. And then they're like, I was hoping for a response. And I'm like, well, you're not going to get a response. You're trying to, solicit something that I can do myself. So
the platforms will punish you if you buy followers. They can tell when most of your followers are bots, and it's an engagement algorithm thing that I've explained over and over, and I'll do it on a later episode if you guys need me to, or on a LinkedIn Live. But the algorithm will punish you if you buy followers. They can tell who's engaged and who's not. So don't do it. Please. Okay, that's it. We love you. Thank you so much for sticking around with us and learning about some personal branding. If you think we should do a part 2, or if you didn't get enough, or if you have some questions, we're happy to do a follow-up episode, but we won't know that unless you tell us in the comments, or you can subscribe to our newsletter and hang out with us in our inbox. I think we have 5 people who do it now, so we'll definitely learn who you are. That's a sweet branding place to be at, just saying. If you like our content, please share, and subscribe with your friends. We would love to be able to help more people. So we, the Cyber Queens, love you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.